Listen, lean closer and let the clamor of your world fade. Let the thin veil of the scene dissolve, and I shall spin for you a tale not of dust and bone, but of primordial light and smokeless fire, a story etched in the very fabric of existence before time itself had a name. This is the echo of the first question, the tremor of the first rebellion, and the birth of the first shadow that would forever chase the light. 1. Opening atmosphere. Before the ticking of clocks, before the burning of suns and the cold drift of moons, there was a vastness that language struggles to contain. It was not emptiness, for emptiness implies a lack. This was a plenum, a presence, a divine solitude that was the absolute sum of all things. Imagine a darkness not born from the absence of light, but a darkness that was a substance in itself of velvet, silent, an infinite ocean of potential. Within this majestic void there was no up nor down, no before nor after. There was only the Iez, the Am, the eternal. The only sound was a hum, a vibration so profound it was indistinguishable from silence. It was the resonance of the divine name, reverberating through the limitless expanse of his dominion. This was the symphony of pure being, a music without notes that sculpted reality from its own echo. Occasionally, a wave of pure creative will would surge through this ocean, a pulse of impossible luminescence that was not seen but felt, like a warm current in a cold sea. This was the Nur, the primordial light, a manifestation of the divine attribute that was both the ink and the page upon which all futures would be written. In this state of serene, timeless perfection, existence was a placid tapestry. There were no sharp edges, no jarring contrasts. Everything flowed in a state of perfect submission, a celestial dance of unspoken praise. The concept of other was nascent, a whisper in the grand silence. The idea of descent was not even a paradox, it was an impossibility, a word for which no meaning could be formed. The darkness was absolute but not threatening. It was the womb of creation, holding all possibilities in a gentle, dreamless sleep. The light was absolute but not blinding. It was the spark of consciousness, the promise of awareness yet to be fully kindled. It was a cosmos breathing in a slow, deliberate rhythm, each cosmic inhalation a gathering of divine intent, each exhalation a settling of profound peace. The tension, when it began, would not be a sudden crack, but a slow, almost imperceptible cooling in that divine warmth, a subtle shift in the harmony of the eternal hum. It began as a thought, a divine intention that rippled outward, carrying with it the seeds of form, of choice, and of the first terrible dawn. 2. Origin context. From that primordial Nur, that uncreated light, the first beings were brought into existence. They were the Malaika, the angels. They were not forged of heavy matter or volatile fire. They were woven from the purest threads of that divine luminescence. Their forms were not fixed but fluid, sentient constellations of light and energy. Their essence a perfect reflection of their purpose. They were beings of pure obedience, their very existence a continuous act of glorification. They were the cosmic administrators, the guardians of celestial laws, the weavers of the threads of fate as dictated by the Almighty. Jibril, the spirit of holiness, was a river of divine knowledge. Mikal, the giver of sustenance, was an ocean of mercy. Israfil, keeper of the trumpet, was a silent storm of potential, waiting for the command to end all time. Their collective consciousness was a single, harmonious chorus, their every thought, a note in the unending hymn of praise, Subhanallah, glory be to God. They knew no desire, no fatigue, no pride, for they were created without the capacity for such things. Their reality was order, their nature was submission, and their universe was a flawlessly operating mechanism of divine will. But they were not the only sentient creations. From a different substance, a strange and volatile element, the smokeless fire, the scorching heart of the flame free of its earthly impurities, another race was born, the Jinn. They were beings of passion and caprice, granted a measure of free will that the angels did not possess. They lived in dimensions parallel to the celestial plane, their societies rising and falling in cycles of piety and corruption. They could perceive the unseen, travel at impossible speeds, and possessed a power that was as creative as it was destructive. They were a cosmic experiment in choice, a testament to a different facet of the Creator's artistry. And among the Jinn, one had risen to a station of unimaginable prestige. His name was Azazil. He was not like the others of his kind. His devotion was absolute, his knowledge vast, his worship so profound and relentless that he had been elevated, raised up to the celestial spheres to live and learn among the angels. He was a pillar of sentient, righteous fire, his brilliance so great that he was called Taus al-Malaika, the peacock of the angels. He was their teacher, their imam, leading vast legions of angels in prayer, his voice a torrent of perfect praise. For eons uncounted, Azazil was the paradigm of devotion. His entire being was a focused lens, magnifying the glory of the Creator. He saw the cosmos as a perfect equation, a divine piece of engineering, and he, in his unwavering servitude, was a vital, load-bearing component. His identity was inextricably linked to this role. He was the most pious, the most knowledgeable, the most prostrate of all beings. This was his truth, the foundation of his existence. He loved God, but his love was filtered through the lens of his own perception of perfection and order. He saw the flawless system and adored the system maker, and by extension, he adored his own perfect place within it. It was a subtle, dormant seed of pride, buried deep beneath layers of prostration and praise, waiting for the right conditions to germinate. 3. The building tension. The eternal, rhythmic hum of the cosmos shifted. It was a change so subtle that at first, it was barely perceptible, like a single string on a celestial harp being tuned to a new, unheard-of frequency. A divine pronouncement, not spoken in words but impressed upon the consciousness of all in the celestial assembly, resonated through the heavens. Indeed, I will make upon the earth a successor, a Khalifa. The word Khalifa hung in the luminous ether, pregnant with meaning. Successor, vicegerent, a steward, a being entrusted with a measure of divine authority on a terrestrial sphere. The announcement rippled through the ranks of the Malaika like a tremor through a sea of glass. Their harmonious chorus of praise faltered for the first time in their existence. A thought, singular and collective, arose among them. It was not a thought of rebellion, for they were incapable of such. It was a query born of pure, unblemished logic, an expression of their function as maintainers of cosmic order. From their vantage point, they had witnessed the history of the earth. They had seen the jinn, the previous inhabitants endowed with a measure of free will, descend into chaos. They had seen tribes rage against tribes, corruption fester, and blood stain the very soil of the world. Their understanding was based on this precedent. Their archives of cosmic history were filled with the cautionary tale of free will leading to turmoil. So, a voice, representing the collective consciousness of the angelic host, rose not in defiance but in sincere, reverent confusion. Our Lord, the question emanated, a wave of pure silver light, will you place upon it one who will spread corruption therein and shed blood, while we declare, your praise and sanctify you? It was a perfect question, flawless in its logic. We are the perfect servants. We maintain the perfect order. We are a known quantity of unending, unblemished praise. Why introduce a variable that has, in the past, proven to be so catastrophic? Why risk marring the perfection of your creation with a being prone to chaos? It was the question of an engineer who sees a flawless design about to be altered with an unpredictable, volatile component. The divine reply was as swift as it was mysterious, a wave of knowledge that washed over them, both answering and deepening the enigma. Surely I know that which you do not know. The statement was absolute. It did not offer explanation. It asserted a higher wisdom, a hidden design that their logic could not yet comprehend. The angels fell silent, their query answered not with a reason but with a declaration of divine omniscience. They bowed their luminous heads in acceptance, the harmony of their praise resuming, albeit with a new, quiet undercurrent of awe and mystery. But one being did not process the pronouncement with the same humble acceptance. Azazil, the peacock of the angels, heard the divine intention, and within his fiery core, the dormant seed of pride began to stir. He too had witnessed the chaos of the jinn, his own kin. He had looked down upon their corruption with a righteous fury, his own perfect devotion, a stark contrast to their failings. The creation of a new being, a successor, felt like an affront. A successor to what? To the chaos of the jinn, or a successor to him, to the angels, to the perfect order they had maintained for millennia. His mind, a brilliant and powerful instrument of logic, began to turn. A creature to be placed on earth, the lowly physical sphere of mud and water. What could such a being possibly offer that we, the denizens of the celestial realms, do not already provide in infinite measure? He looked at the endless ranks of angels, beings of pure light, and then at himself, a being of noble, smokeless fire, the most devout of all. The very idea of this new creature, this Khalifa, was an imperfection in the divine equation he so cherished. It was illogical. It was unnecessary. The silence of his descent was louder than any shout, a pocket of cold, defiant stillness in the warm, flowing river of angelic submission. The tension was no longer just a subtle shift in the cosmic hum, it was a gathering storm, a coiling of spiritual energy around a single point of fiery, brilliant, and terrible pride. For the main event, the divine command was issued. The raw material for this new creation was to be gathered from the sphere designated as its dominion, the earth. Angels descended, beings of light touching down upon a world of rock and soil, of mountains and valleys. They went to gather the clay, but the earth itself resisted. It cried out, "I seek refuge in the Almighty from you, that you would diminish me or mar me." The angels of mercy and the angels of knowledge returned empty-handed, unwilling to take by force what was not freely given. Then came Azrael, the angel of death, his essence resonating with the unyielding finality of a divine decree. To the earth's plea, he responded, "I too seek refuge in the Almighty from returning without fulfilling his command." And he gathered the clay, a fistful from every corner of the world, black soil and white sand, red earth and soft loam, fragrant and foul, hard and soft. He gathered the sum of the earth's potential, its contradictions and its totality, and ascended back to the celestial plane. Before the angelic assembly, the clay was presented. It was a humble, dark, and lifeless lump. It smelled of wet earth, of decay and minerals, a stark and vulgar contrast to the ethereal, scentless purity of the heavens. And then the divine artistry began. It was not a violent act of creation, but a slow, deliberate shaping. Over a period that would be measured by mortals as 40 years of rain and 40 years of sun, the form was sculpted. Fingers and limbs, a torso, a head with hollow sockets for eyes, a mouth agape in a silent, unending scream. It was a masterpiece of potential, a vessel of exquisite design, yet it remained inert, a fragile statue of dried mud. During this long period of formation, the being of fire, Azazil, circled it. He observed it with the keen, analytical eye of a master craftsman judging the work of a rival. He would pace around the lifeless form, his fiery essence casting a flickering, restless light upon the dull brown clay. He would tap it with a finger, and a hollow, empty sound would echo from its torso. Hollow, he thought, the thought a spark of contempt in his brilliant mind. It is weak, it is empty. I am a sealed, solid being of immense power, and this is a fragile, hollow thing. He would enter through its mouth and exit its nether regions, exploring its every cavity, his contempt growing with every pass. "You are created for a purpose," he would hiss at the silent form, "but I swear, if I am given authority over you, I will surely destroy you. And if you are given authority over me, I will surely disobey you." The promise was made to an unhearing effigy, a vow whispered into the cosmic wind, a poison drop falling into the ocean of what was to come. Then the moment of animation arrived. The divine will focused upon the clay vessel. A command was issued, and from the treasury of the Almighty's mysteries, the Ruh, the spirit, the breath of life, was brought forth. It was not mere air or energy, it was a fragment of the divine secret, an Amr, a direct command from God. It descended upon the form, a cascade of unimaginable light and power, seeking to enter the clay. It swirled around the head, and as the Ruh entered, the clay began to transform. From the inside out, the inert mud blushed with life. Veins like fine red rivers traced their way through the form. Sinew and muscle knit themselves over a framework of hardening bone. Skin, in the myriad colors of the earth from which it was taken, stretched and sealed over the burgeoning form. The process was slow, agonizing. As the Ruh reached his eyes, they blinked open, two dark, wet orbs staring, unfocused, at the blinding reality of the celestial realm. He saw the ranks of the angels, shimmering curtains of light, and was terrified. As the Ruh reached his nostrils, a particle of celestial dust irritated him, and he let out a sudden, explosive sneeze. And the first words spoken by this new being, inspired by the divine, tumbled from his newly formed lips, "Alhamdulillah, all praise is for God." A wave of divine mercy washed over him in response. "Yarhamak Allah, your Lord has mercy on you, Adam." The being, now named Adam, was complete. He sat up, a creature of two natures, a body of humble, grounded clay and a spirit of celestial, divine origin. He was the bridge between worlds, the paradox made manifest. At that very moment, as the last vibration of Adam's first praise faded, the ultimate command thundered through the heavens. It was not a request, but a cosmic imperative, a realignment of the universal hierarchy. Prostrate to Adam? In an instant, in a single, unified, flawless motion, the entire angelic host collapsed. Trillions of beings of pure light, from Jibril to the lowest celestial guardian, fell to their faces in a wave of luminous submission. The heavens filled with the sound of rustling light, a silent roar of obedience. It was not a prostration of worship to Adam, but a prostration of obedience to the one who commanded it, an acknowledgement of the new reality, an acceptance of the mystery they had questioned. But one figure remained standing, a solitary pillar of fire, rigid and unbending amidst a flattened ocean of light. Azazil. The command had struck him not as a holy imperative, but as a physical blow. His brilliant mind, his entire being, screamed in protest. Prostrate. To this creature of mud and phlegm, one, who am forged from the noble essence of fire, one, who have worshipped for eons before this thing was even a thought. The logic was a prison. Fire aspires upward, clay is trod upon. It was a law of nature, a physical truth that, in his mind, superseded a spiritual one. He felt the command as a pressure, a force trying to bend his fiery spine, and he resisted it with the full might of his will. Pride, once a dormant seed, had now become a raging inferno, burning away every last vestige of humility. The gaze of the Almighty, a focus of attention so absolute it could unmake galaxies, fell upon him. O Iblis, the name was new, a brand seared upon his essence, meaning, he who is despaired, what prevented you from prostrating to that which I have created with my own two hands? Were you arrogant, or were you among the exalted? The question offered a final chance, a path back. But the inferno of his pride was too hot. He drew himself up to his full, majestic height, his form shimmering with a dark, defiant light. And he spoke the words that would forever sunder the heavens and birth the first enmity. I am better than him, the words hissed, filled with the venom of self-importance. You created me from fire, and you created him from clay. It was done. The rebellion was no longer a silent thought. It was a declared reality, a truth spoken in the face of the ultimate truth. The first no had been uttered in a universe that had only ever known yes. 5. I am immediate aftermath. The echo of his defiant words did not simply fade. It hung in the celestial air, thick and corrosive, a sound that actively unwove the perfect tapestry of the heavens. A profound, terrible silence descended, a stillness far deeper and more chilling than the primordial quiet that had preceded it. The worship of the prostrated angels seemed to halt in mid-flow, their light dimming in shock and horror. The universe held its breath. In that moment, Azazil was no more. The celestial name, earned through eons of devotion, was stripped from him, burned away by the very fire of his arrogance. He was now Iblis, the despairing one. But the transformation did not stop there. The divine judgment was not just a verdict, it was a metaphysical recoding of his entire being. Then get out of here. The command was not of anger, but of cosmic law, the pronouncement of a principle. For you are indeed accursed, and upon you is my curse until the day of recompense. The curse was a tangible force. The brilliant, pure fire of his form began to twist and curdle. The light that had once made him the peacock of angels warped into something sinister, his radiance becoming a source of oppressive heat rather than illuminating warmth. His form, once a testament to righteous aspiration, became jagged and sharp, a silhouette of defiance. He was cast out, not in a physical sense of being thrown, but in an existential sense. The divine grace and mercy that permeate the heavens receded from him, leaving him isolated in a bubble of his own making, an island of eternal resentment in an ocean of divine love. He was now Ash-Shaitan, the adversary, the outcast. He did not collapse. He did not weep. The fire of his pride simply burned hotter, now fueled by a new and potent emotion, hatred. He looked at the source of his fall, at Adam, who had now risen from his sitting position and was watching this cosmic drama with wide, uncomprehending eyes. In Adam, Iblis saw not just a creature of clay, but the living symbol of his own humiliation. A quiet, burning vow formed in the core of his being. The angels, still prostrate, felt the change in the very fabric of their reality. A new concept had been introduced into the universe: disobedience, enmity. A shadow now existed where before there had been only light. They rose slowly, their movements hesitant, their luminous forms flickering with a new awareness. They looked upon Iblis, their former teacher, and saw not a brother in praise, but a fundamental opposite, a being whose entire purpose was now the antithesis of their own. And they looked upon Adam with a new understanding. The divine wisdom that they could not grasp was now laid bare. It was not about what Adam was made of, but what he was capable of carrying the divine trust, possessing knowledge, and exercising a choice that they, in their perfect submission, could never know. Adam was the crucible in which the cosmic drama of free will would be tested. Adam, for his part, was overwhelmed. He was a being of minutes, his consciousness a fresh slate. He had experienced creation, the gift of speech, the terror of existence, and now he was the silent epicenter of the first and greatest schism in history. He looked at the shimmering, horrified angels, and then at the dark, defiant figure of Iblis. He felt a profound sense of sorrow, a nascent empathy for the fallen being, and a terrifying premonition of the burden that had been placed upon his shoulders. He was the Khalifa, but he was also the cause, the catalyst for this terrible sundering. The air of the heavens, once tasting of pure praise, was now tinged with the bitter ozone of conflict. The age of innocence was over. 6. Deeper consequences. The expulsion of Iblis was not an end, but the beginning of a new chapter in the cosmic saga. Before his final banishment to the lower realms, the newly christened Shaitan made a plea, a strategic request born of his undying arrogance and newfound malice. "My Lord," he addressed the Almighty, his voice devoid of reverence but filled with a chillingly formal tone, "then give me respite until the day they are resurrected." He asked not for forgiveness, but for time. Time to prove his thesis that this creature of clay was unworthy, flawed, and easily corruptible. He sought to turn his punishment into a cosmic wager. The divine response was a granting of this request, for the test of Adam and his progeny required a tempter, a clear and present opposition to give their choices meaning. "You are of those given respite," the decree confirmed. Emboldened, Iblis laid bare his eternal mission. "Because you have put me in error, I will surely sit and wait for them on your straight path. Then I will come to them from before them and from behind them and on their right and on their left, and you will not find most of them grateful." It was a declaration of total, multi-front war on the children of Adam. He would attack their future before them, their past behind them, their good deeds, their right, and their worldly desires, their left. His goal was not merely to cause them to sin, but to make them ungrateful, to sever the fundamental bond of gratitude between creature and creator. This was the birth of the great test. The universe was now a stage for this conflict. Adam and his descendants were given free will, the capacity to choose between the path of God and the whispers of the adversary. The stakes were nothing less than eternal salvation. To equip Adam for this new reality, God demonstrated the profound wisdom behind his creation, the secret the angels did not know. He turned to Adam and, through a direct infusion of divine grace, taught Adam the namesal of them. This was not merely language. It was a deep, intrinsic knowledge of the essence of all things. The nature of the angels, the properties of the stars, the purpose of the animals, the secrets of the plants, the concepts of life, death, love, and loss. Adam became a vessel of divine knowledge, a living library of creation's secrets. His capacity for learning, for abstraction, for naming and understanding, was the honor that elevated him above all others. Then, God presented these things to the angels. "Inform me of the names of these, if you are truthful." The angels, whose knowledge was vast but limited to their function, could only reply in perfect humility, "Exalted are you? We have no knowledge except what you have taught us. Indeed, it is you who is the knowing, the wise." Then the command came to Adam, "O Adam, inform them of their names." And Adam, the creature of clay, spoke. He named the creations, explaining their essence and purpose, his voice filling the heavens with a wisdom that had been gifted to him alone. The angels listened in profound awe. The reason for their prostration was now blindingly clear. Adam's vicegerency was not based on the material of his body, but on the boundless potential of his spirit, his unique ability to receive and process divine knowledge. Iblis had judged the vessel, the clay, and in his arrogance had completely missed the treasure that was placed within it. He saw the mud but was blind to the soul. This act established the core principle of the human condition, that true worth lies not in origin but in knowledge, humility, and the